CNN keeps falling apart. Top stars and hosts are now getting axed. This is what happens when you drink the Kool-Aid and you're in the mainstream media. You know, we have laughs about all the meltdowns. We have laughs about how the party is eating itself alive now. There's half the party saying they went too far with the LGHD TV and the trans and the kids. There's the other half that said we haven't gone far enough. They're eating themselves up. They're eating themselves up. Well, now CNN, who of course is part of that woke problem with the propaganda, CNN's falling apart. They're not having a good day. So they say CNN will axe top stars in layoffs that sees hundreds of fired. CNN is reportedly set to nix some of its top talent in a round of post-election layoffs. The rumblings, first reported by Puck News, comes as high-paid personalities like Jake Tapper and Wolf Blitzer were reportedly recently denied raises. The two already boast salaries of $7 million and $3 million, while stars like Anderson Cooper take home an annual $20 million. Do you know what blows me away the most about this? Many of these CNN programs get views way less than people like Dan Bongino or Louder with Crowder, Steven Crowder, or Joe Rogan. And yet mainstream advertisers have boycotted Joe Rogan, boycotted Rumble, boycotted, Dan Bongino and the rest. And they spend millions and hundreds of millions of dollars to advertise on CNN, and CNN gets less views than people on Rumble and YouTube and podcasters and on Spotify. They're throwing their money away. And so eventually, I think these companies that are getting this ad revenue and paying these stars all this big money, the advertisers are going to say, you know what, I can go to somebody like my channel and spend way less money and still reach tens of thousands of people, if not 100,000 people. That's money better spent. I'll spend $100,000 and have 500 streamers that reach 10 million people. That's way better than spending $100 million with CNN to reach, 2 or 3 million people? That's why you need to hear from sponsors, and that's why we have sponsors. Speaking of which, let's hear from my sponsor today. Look, new respiratory illnesses are spreading faster than ever. Aggressive flu strains, bird flu. They're still trying to bring back the vid. You know that, by the way. Emerging viral threats, whether man-made pandemics, scamdemics, or naturally occurring. We've seen this happen when the system gets overwhelmed. After the past 4 years, it's clear we can't count on the government or the medical industrial complex to have our backs when disaster strikes. It's up to us to take control of our health and relieve panic. That's why the wellness company Contagion Emergency Kit is an absolute necessity to safeguard you and your loved ones. The kit's packed with critical medications like ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, Z-Pak, budesonide, and a nebulizer to get that good stuff straight into your lungs. Picture this, no more waiting on pharmacies, dealing with your woke doctors. With a few clicks, this kit is delivered to your front door, and it comes with a guidebook created by the wellness company's medical board, ensuring you get these treatments safely and effectively. In these uncertain times, you need to be proactive, not reactive. So secure your kits. Head over to twc.health/oddmanout and use code oddmanout to save $30 off plus free shipping. That's twc.health/oddmanout. And use code oddmanout to get $30 off and free shipping right now. Do it. Do it now. I got to the chopper. And while you're there, check out their medicine telepresence. I always get those two messed up. They have cool telepresence stuff where you can log in, and it's like $100 a month. And then if you get sick and you don't know what's going on, not only do you have your kit, but you can just telepresence a medical doctor, and they'll take some information from you, and they'll send out the medicine you need. Much cheaper than insurance here in the United States, ironically. Caitlin Collins and Aaron Burnett also commanded inflated earnings, $3 million and $6 million apiece, respectively. Okay, so you got $20 million, $7 million, $3 million. Okay, that's $30 million, and then 3 and 6 for Caitlin Collins and Aaron Burnett. Now you're at $40 million for what, 5 people that are just opinionated assholes and don't even tell us the real news? Good luck with that. Insiders told Puck that the new round of firings will likely see on-air talent like them affected as the network's new CEO looks to free up finances amid waning ratings. In the next few months, I'm told CNN will implement another round of layoffs that will impact hundreds of employees across the organization, reporter Dylan Byers wrote Friday, referencing CNN's recent 100-person layoff seen over the summer. So they just did a round of layoffs. They're getting ready to lay off more people. They laid off Don Lemon. They laid off, who else was the other one? He's the other one that lied all the time. Cuomo. They laid off Cuomo. It looks like they're going to be laying off more, hundreds of others, and other top stars. These people, no one listens to them anymore. And they're asking too much money. They say the fresh round of firings, the insider said, will be geared more towards the production side of things. As a result, reporters and correspondents will be recovered to... Jesus.
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
Why am I struggling today? Let me tell you. So, I'm sorry, guys. Normally, I'm half this bad. I'm always bad at reading, but normally I'm only half this bad. I apologize. As a result, reporters and correspondents will be required to cover their slack, they said, describing how on-air workers will be asked to assume more of the responsibilities once handled by teams of producers and production assistants. Byers wrote, redundant assignments will be nixed and various divisions will be reduced or even eliminated, likely the DEI division, let me tell you. Some of the on-air talent are also likely to be affected, he went on to reveal. And this is typical when a company is resizing or downgrading or restructuring. I know this. I was in the work world for 30 some odd years. They do layoffs, and then the people that are left are the best of the best, the hardest workers, and then they're given the slackers' jobs, like their responsibilities. And usually the good workers, the hard workers will stay because they might even get a slight salary increase. Like, for example, if you have a hard worker that gets $100,000 and a dead ass that gets $60,000, they get rid of the $60,000 person, give that person's work to the guy making $100,000, and then they tell him he's getting a raise to $110,000 or $15,000. That way, in the long run, you save $45,000. You still keep the hard worker. He's happy because he got a raise. And that's sometimes how it happens. Other times, they just give that extra work to the hard worker, and then that hard worker starts looking for a new job. I know that because I've done that myself, where they lay off half the staff. Everybody that's left is, gets minor raises. They start working way too hard, and they're like, I don't need this job anymore, and they start heading for the exits. I'm not sure which way CNN's going to go, but they can't. The only way CNN has all this money, by the way, is Big Pharma paid them hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to shill their product during the jab and the bug, and social media, same thing, which is why they shut down all the stories that counteracted the narrative, because you can't do that to basically the companies that are paying CNN 80% of what it makes, which are these pharmaceutical companies. He says the man behind it, they said, is none other than new CEO Mark Thompson, the former New York Times boss, brought in to overhaul the network under its Warner Brothers Discovery parent. The old BBC boss filled the position left by then languishing leader Chris Licht this past August, and since then, ratings have fallen more than 20%. Now, I remember Chris Licht came in, and he was going to clean everything up and clean the station up, and then they just went even more left-wing. They did bring in a conservative guy named Scott Jennings on CNN, and he's really good, like really, really good. I enjoy watching Scott Jennings dunk on CNN, the other panelists, all day long, but it's not enough to bring the network back. They're going to have to come back to middle news because they're just not doing well. Anyway, they brought him in. He didn't change anything, and out he went on his ear. I hope they get rid of all of them. Ugh, gosh. Every once in a while, Jake Tapper has like one sentence that makes sense, and you go, hey, maybe he's coming around. And then you listen to the next sentence, and you go, never mind. Under Licht, a tenure that lasted a little over a year, the station fell from being the most watched cable news network on election nights to one of the least, because they're the least accurate. They're the least accurate. They were the last to report a lot of these states because they didn't want to admit Harris lost. As a matter of fact, I think the first place that was calling election stuff and had it most accurate was Charlie Kirk's stream over on Rumble. That was one of the most accurate and one of the fastest. And again, he had, I think, a couple 100,000 people watching him over on Rumble on election night, me being one of them. In 2016, when it was headed by since ousted leader Jeff Zucker, it was the most watched network overall, a distinction that now is held by Fox News. Yeah, but Jeff Zucker, he had TDS. He had TDS, and he destroyed the whole company over his TDS. At the time, CNN had averaged 13.3 million viewers in prime time. Today, it's only around 800,000 people. Where's my phone? Let's do some maths. They are at 6%. They're getting 6% of the views they used to. 6% of that means 94% of people no longer watch CNN.
Oh, wait, you serious?
They've moved on. They've moved on to Fox News. They've moved on to podcasts and streamers. This is why we call it the legacy media. This is why we call it the legacy media. People have moved on. They've retained 6% of their audience since 2016. In 8 years, they've lost 94% of their audience. That's not just bad. That is company ending. That is catastrophic. How do they survive? That big pharma money. That big pharma money. It was a bailout basically by big pharma. Right-leaning Fox News hosts like Laura Ingraham, Jesse Waters, Sean Hannity, and Greg Gutfeld, meantime, are averaging 2.8 million viewers in the same time slots, the most in a field that's currently being affected by streaming and other forms of media. So if one had 13.3 and the other now has 2.8, there's still a delta in there. There's still a gap of about 10 million people. Where did those 10 million people go? Twitter, YouTube, Rumble, locals, social media. They've just gone away. Legacy media. TV is on its last gasping breath, and it's only grandmas and meemaws and people over the age of probably 70 that are still even paying attention to it. Adding insult to injury was CNN's struggles on Election Day, a day that 8 years ago would have seen it score a decisive ratings victory. However, following a Trump presidency and a term from the Biden administration, it lost to MSNBC in terms of ratings, something never seen before as it only drew in 5.1 million sets of eyes that night. MSNBC, meanwhile, raked in 6 million, a number eclipsed almost twofold by Fox News at 10.3 nation. So that's the boomer crowd, right? Boomers are saying, okay, 10 million eyes on Fox, 6 million eyes on MSDNC, 5 million eyes on CNN. And if you look at the demographics, that's a little bit more for MSNBC and CNN than Fox, but that's about 50-50, pretty close to what the election turned out, pretty close to 50-50. But where are the other hundreds of millions of people watching it? They're off TV. Like I said, the numbers aired this week in the form of Nielsen statistics appear to show a shifting field when it comes to cable news, one seemingly set to continue with Trump's second term in office. To combat this, CNN plans to create new positions that will serve as Thompson's new digital-first vision. So they're going to move to YouTube and they're going to move to off-site. And this is the problem with YouTube algorithms, by the way, because they call CNN trusted news. And Tim Pool and Russell Brand and Joe Rogan and I'm trying to think of other news, and Redacted and all the other news, they call them not trusted news. So in the algorithms on YouTube, CNN gets boosted, MSNBC gets boosted, but Fox News probably gets boosted a little less. And then independent news creators, they don't get boosted at all. And so they just pray they can find an audience that finds them. So the internet was supposed to set independent journalism free. And because CNN will likely grease the palms, or, there's something going on at YouTube and Google where they want to propagate CNN and MSNBC's, disinformation, because that is disinformation, and their leftist views, they're going to get propped up and they're going to be shown in the algorithms more. And that will make them good money because you can make decent money on YouTube with that many views. They say, with one source posting how the incoming changes may yield a net gain of employees. Still, if the insider's warning proved to be true, hundreds of others will lose their positions, the source said, describing to buyers a climate at the outfit's Manhattan office rife with stress and high anxiety. The firings are set to come within the next few months, they said, not offering any more detail. Who will be affected remains to be seen. It was revealed Monday that longtime host Chris Wallace would not have his $8.5 million a year contract renewed, with the 77-year-old confirming the development in an interview with Daily Beast as he pondered a full-time podcasting career. This is the first time in 55 years I've been between jobs, he said on the same day. I'm actually excited and liberated by that. As for other high-paid figures like Cooper and Burnett, their fates remain uncertain. Days earlier, the Ankler had reported that Tapper and Blitzer were denied raises and that the officials were mulling a pay cut for Wallace. The newsletter also revealed how Tapper was instead resigned to a 3-year contract, one that would see him paid the same $7 million annually that he had earned in the past. So he went from making $7 million a year to $7 million every 3 years. Now let me pull up a new window here, a new browser window. Give me just a moment. Because what these people don't understand is that they can go start. Oh, and here's the other thing. Chris Wallace quits CNN to build a future in streaming. So you hear these old-timey news people, right? Like Don Lemon, who was on CNN. Don Lemon was paid millions by CNN. He was paid millions by CNN. And he was fired by CNN. He moved on. Don Lemon, who once made millions and millions and millions of dollars on CNN over the years, he now has 279,000 subscribers. That is, in the world of YouTube, that is a relatively small channel. My news channel with 35,000, that is a nothing channel. That is a fly on the wall, inconsequential. 9 days ago, 16,000 views. 13 days ago, 10,000 views. 2 weeks ago, 17,000 views. 2 weeks ago, 9,000 views. These are the views that I get on my news channel on YouTube. These are the views. I get more views than this on locals. What I'm saying is I'm a peon in the world of online streaming. I am a nobody. And a guy that used to get paid millions of dollars by CNN tries to come into our world, and he's doing the same as I do. That's not good. Where's my millions, CNN? Put me on mainstream media. That would be a horrible mistake. Don't actually do that. You would not like that. But they'll never make it. This Chris Wallace coming to streaming, boomers are not coming to streaming. Boomers watch Chris Wallace. Chris Wallace is not going to get the eyes of the Gen X, Gen Z, Millennials, Gen Alpha. Those days are gone for you, brother. You're done. Same thing with Don Lemon. Same thing with the rest of them. And as a matter of fact, the Young Turks and Mehdi Hassan and some of these other leftist streamers, they've been losing tens of thousands of subscribers because of how bad they are getting their politics. Even CNN got it wrong. They're so stuck in their bubbles, they don't want to tell people the truth because in the streams and their live streams, and they read the comments and they get called awful things because they're all in a bubble. At least here when I say things, 95, 98, 99% of people agree with me. And even if I get it wrong, I come out with a correction. I say, I screwed that up. And people keep watching. They can't do the same. They can't admit when they're wrong. They can't admit they're in a bubble. They can't see the truth of things. And when they shift to online, it's too easy to leave comments. It's too easy to yell. Chris Wallace and Don Lemon and the rest of them, they're not used to getting yelled at, to having pushback. Hell, we get it all the time. We're used to it. That's why ultimately they'll fail. I think they'll all fail. They can come to streaming, and CNN may get some, I don't know, Gen Xers and the younger boomers that have cut cable. They'll get some views. But the rest of the world is moving on. It doesn't matter if CNN and MSNBC and Chris Wallace and Don Lemon, it doesn't matter if they move to the world of streaming, if they move to Rumble and YouTube and locals, and it doesn't matter. It's too late for them. Legacy, the ways legacy media has done their thing, it's done. Now, instead of us reporting on what legacy media talks about, now people like Steven Crowder, and it doesn't mean you have to like Steven Crowder. He's doing it, though. Steven Crowder. You've got, why am I losing his name quickly? O'Keefe, James O'Keefe at O'Keefe Media, mailing out hundreds and thousands of cameras and doing undercover reporting. Pretty soon, it's not going to be CNN reports the news and then we YouTubers and Rumblers and we react to it. Pretty soon, it's going to be James O'Keefe collects undercover reporting from 100 citizen journalists. Or somebody with a phone catches something and uploads it to Twitter, and other people like myself and, the Tim Pools and the other newscasters that actually matter. Again, I'm just a peon. They see the story and we report on it and it goes viral. It's going to be the average person catching a story, uploading it, news reporters, people that are like journalists writing the story about it, and then CNN's going to be out of the loop. MSNBC is going to be out of the loop. It'll go from person catching the incident, an independent person writing the story, and the rest of us reporting on us. It's a very exciting time to be alive. It is a beautiful time to be alive. The truth shall set you free. And now we can see the truth. Somebody will report on the truth, and then I will regurgitate for those that don't want to sit and read a story by an independent journalist and you're just driving home. We're just in this weird point where we're waiting for independent journalism to catch up. And so a lot of times we're still reporting on the legacy media and what they've said because they do have the money for reporters going out and doing their thing. We don't yet, but we will soon. Tim Pool does have an independent reporter, I forget his name, that goes to events. And then Tim Pool has his website, Scanner News, SCNR News, and he writes their own stories. The Post Millennial has broken news stories. James O'Keefe has broken tons of news stories. Legacy media has a time frame and its expiration date, and it's probably within the next couple of years because CNN and MSNBC, they're going to keep lying and spitting hate, and the rest of us are going to keep moving on with the real world and the way things really are. And it doesn't mean you have to like the administration. It doesn't mean you're an always Trumper or a conservative. It just means you want the truth, and you'll base your mind. You'll base your decisions, and you'll make your mind up based on that. You just don't get the truth from legacy media anymore, and too many people have known that now, and they're starting to move on.